What's up, y'all? This is Stacey from H Blues Word. Welcome to my channel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for joining me. So today we're talking about Jermaine Jackson, and this really hurts my heart because I am a huge fan of the Jackson family. Of course, I love Michael Jackson. I love Janet Jackson, and I grew up loving the Jackson 5. I mean, of course, they were pre my era, but my parents had a great album collection, so I definitely grew up just listening to a lot of their early hits. And of course, they had some hits during the era that I grew up in, which was the 80s and 90s. But yeah, this story really pains me to have to share that Jermaine Jackson, one of the main singers of the Jackson 5, he has been accused of SA. It was for something that happened really like 35 years ago. The woman's name is Rita Barrett, and she claims that Jermaine Jackson not just SA'd her, but forcibly, violently SA'd her. She claims that he came to her home in 1988 and forced himself inside and violated her. And she's also implicating Berry Gordy, not in terms of the act, but in terms of covering up this act. And Berry Gordy, for those of you who may not know, Berry Gordy is the founder of Motown Records. She says that he had a choice to either help her or to help Germaine, and he chose to help Germaine. And the reason why he would help her is because her husband, Ben Barrett, actually worked with Berry Gordy at Motown. And here's a little background on Germaine. Jermaine Jackson, yes, he was a member of the Jackson 5, but some of you may not know the Jackson 5 actually left Motown in 1975, but Germaine decided to stay with Motown because one, he was actually married to Berry Gordy's daughter, Hazel Gordy. So he stayed with Motown as a solo artist. So there's really that connection with Berry Gordy. Not only is Jermaine his artist, or was his artist, Jermaine was also his son-in-law. So there was a clear connection there. But what's interesting is this incident, again, allegedly happened in 1988. But Jermaine Jackson actually was not signed to Motown. By this time in 1988, he had, I guess, left Motown. His last album with Motown was in around 1982. And his album Dynamite and I believe Precious Moments, those albums were under the Arista label. So in 1988, he was under Arista, but I guess he was still obviously connected to Berry in terms of still being married to his daughter. Now, Germaine and Hazel, ironically, actually did divorce also in 1988. So, there's a lot going on here. But the main thing is that this woman is suing Jermaine Jackson for SA. So far, Germaine has not responded. Berry Gordy has not responded to these claims. But it is important to note that this woman wants to pursue this case via a jury trial. So it doesn't look like she's looking for a settlement. And just real quick, she filed this under the California law that's called the SA and Cover Up Accountability Act. This law allows people to file lawsuits for SA even if their statute of limitations has expired. And so what that did was it gave certain people, it's really two tiers. So she meets the first tier. The first tier allows people whose statute of limitations has expired and maybe their situation or their incident happened pre-2009. That's the first tier, because this happened in 1988. So this was 35 years ago. So she was able to make this claim under this law, under the first tier, but it only allowed these people 1 year to make this claim. So she had from January 2023 until December 31st, 2023 to make this claim. So she just made this claim. So you can pretty much see that she waited until the 11th hour to make this claim. And similar to the New York Survivors Act, which had a similar situation where survivors or alleged survivors could file lawsuits within 1 year. That expired, I believe, a day after Thanksgiving. And if you recall, there were a lot of lawsuits that were filed a few days prior to the deadline in New York. In fact, we saw, Diddy get hit with a lawsuit, Jamie Foxx get hit with a lawsuit, Cuba Gooding Jr., Jimmy Iovine, etc. So who knows? We may end up seeing something similar with the California suit. In fact, just recently, Paula Abdul just sued one of the producers of The American Idol. But like I said, this is a 2-tier law in California. It's called AB 2777. So now the second tier of this lawsuit, that's for cases that happened in 2009 on, and they have until 2026 to make a claim. So we may end up seeing a lot of lawsuits for the next 2 years. So be prepared. But Rita Barrett with the Germaine case, her case is pre-2009, so she only had until December 31st to make this claim. But again, Germaine has not responded so far to this claim, and Berry Gordy hasn't responded. But what's interesting about Germaine is he's really been MIA. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the Jackson family. I follow them. I follow even the Jacksons, the surviving Jacksons. They tour. They're still doing their thing, but Germaine isn't on tour with them. And last I heard, Marlon did an interview and he explained that Germaine, around the pandemic time, he just didn't want to take the vaccine, allegedly. So that's why he's not touring with them, but he's not even really doing interviews. And he used to be the main Jackson that you would see, especially when Michael was dealing with his cases. He would be the spokesperson, really. So, but he has really been MIA. So I actually was wondering, is he not well? What's going on? But he has not responded to this lawsuit. We shall see what happens. But share your comments below on your thoughts on this. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch you later.